topic is distinguish headings from text, making headings easy to see at a glance. Use hold or italics that stands out. Keep the following in mind. Make each level of headings clear. Make the hierarchy or the headings obvious. Differentiate levels by size, spacing, and placement. Size. Type size for the headline should be bigger than for the headings. If you use headings and don't change the placement, make them smaller than your headings. About your 3 points, difference is often good. Spacing. The headline might also have more space after it than other headings. It's critical to put headings close to the text they introduce. Don't center headlines or headings. People usually cam down the left margins of the content, they will miss the centered headings. Examples of headings is as follows. Now Geeta Ramni will continue the guidelines.
So our next topic is about guidelines for turning up your sentences. Use your throughout. Make the information inviting and personal by addressing your site visitors directly. Use you throughout the content will be both understandable and more engaging. And use you to be gender neutral. Third person singular pronouns he, she, him, her, or gender specific. If these pronouns are used, some site visitors will think that you mean only people of the gender. The example below is website that is supposed to give physicians help on how to move a practice from one state to another. Notice how it does takes to the physician. For example, when we contacting and see here suggested divisions or author of letting go of the words written by the web content. And third, we use I and we. You can set the style of the site in two ways. They are picture the site visitors asking the question and the picture the site asking the questions. When the site visitor asks the questions, I and my in the question is the voice of the site visitor, and you in the answer is the site is talking to the site visitor. We and are for the organization that is answering the question. This is an example of using I and we. So here, how do I become a volunteer? And at this shelter, we are always looking for volunteers. Apply to become one out to gain some valuable work experience and satisfaction of helping a good cause. When the site asks the questions, this often happens in forms use you and your in the question, whereas site asking the site visitor, and I and my in the answer the voice of the site visitor, we and are for the organization that is asking the question. So as an example, we can use Amazon.com, where www.amazon.com for an organization we use we as are the best when you are writing on behalf of a group, your team, your division, and for your organization. It's what you say in a conversation is most websites do this on the contact to us page. Next step, write in the active voice most of the time. Sentences in the active voice describe who does what to whom. In an active sentence, the person or the thing doing the action comes before the verb, whereas in active sentences, the customer must fill out the form, whereas in passive sentences, the form must be filled out by the customer, and passive sentences, the form must be filled out. Taken from the letting go of the words writing web content that works. Sometimes the passive is appropriate, sometimes the focus belongs on the object. You may need the passive to avoid blaming or scaring your site visitors. However, an entire web page in the passive is boring and difficult to understand. It's not conversational. Write short, simple sentences, whereas try to keep the sentence to about 10 to 20 words. Cut the flap. Keep each sentence to one through or two tightly connected thoughts. The next step is cut unnecessary words, whereas sometimes sentences are longer than necessary because writer uses several words where one or none will done. For example, due to the fact the business is good, at the point in time. Instead, try because business is good now because and now each time the place of 5 words. Next, give extra information its own place. If extra information takes a person of a tangent, then maybe lose track of what the sentence is about. A sentence with many commas probably has extra information stuffed into it. Think of your site visitors, the questions they would ask, and the order in which they would ask them. If different pieces of information are needed at different times, separate those pieces. Keep the main parts of the sentence together, whereas subject, verb, object, all those. Next, put the key messages first and pull out all the extra information and make each piece its own sentence or fragment. Consider using visual fragments and list where they convey the information quickly and accurately. Example of information stuffed into a paragraph, whereas interested people honor before taking from letting go of the work, writing down. The revised sentence matches is the orders in which site visitors need the information, key messages first, then answers to people questions in the order the work asked them. So when we invite you to comment on this proposal, we have to submit written on the comments. So next we should write a key paragraphs shorts, whereas the key paragraphs short just a few sentences. People do not want to read long drawn out paragraphs. Remember, the long paragraphs are bad for the mobile devices. A one sentence paragraph is fine to understand the content easily. Start with the content. Start each paragraph with a topic sentence, a sentence that tells a reader what the paragraph is about. Note, sometimes to write clearly, you have to find out more information than you originally bad. Consider using the pattern if then it follows the reader's logic and makes you put the first things first, second things second. You almost always need the if in the if clause, but you don't actually need the word then in the then clause. For example, if it's raining, take an umbrella. No need to use the word then. So our next point, put the action in the verb. Don't bury the action in a noun. Example of a weak sentence is retention of these records for 7 years is a requirement for licenses. Retention is noun hiding a verb and its requirement is a noun hiding a verb. Example of a strong sentence is licenses must keep these records for 7 years. You must keep these records for 7 years. So let's see, this table gives you the most common ending for nouns that hides verb. Use the table, help you make the action out of nouns and put the action where it belongs in the verb. See here in the table, we can look for this and as an example, and we can see many verbs. And our next step, use your site visitor words. Think conversation as you construct paragraphs, sentences, lists, and tables. And when you choose words, only use special words that have specific meaning in your field. If everyone you are conversing with shares your special language, always use plain language. Offer short, simple words that make your content more conversational. Using short, simple words is not dumping down your content. It's respecting your busy site visitors' time. So note here, research has shown that using these guidelines for clear writing for the web helps both low literacy and high literacy site visitors. Thank you.